Hey, welcome to the Rogue Nation podcast. Today's episode talked to Eric and Kate of Seminar Stack. Eric is a Pennsylvania State Trooper and has an amazing story of recovery and resilience. And he had a real bad traffic accident, like bad, and has been off on medical for some time. We go into that. We talk about the details of the accident, what happened during it, what happened after, and where he's at now, several years later. Out of that recovery period came this idea called Seminar Stack. And Seminar Stack is a jiu-jitsu based training event that is occurring in Hershey, Pennsylvania on August. Let me get the date here, make sure I don't screw it up. August 2nd, right? It's in Grantville, Pennsylvania, which is just outside Hershey, and it's shaping up to be an amazing event. I'm going to do my best to get out there. And it is like an all-day jiu-jitsu training competition if you're into that. Like, we go into the details on that. Make sure you check it out. But Eric and Kate of Seminar Stack. So I wanted to get this one queued up and get it out immediately so that it can promote that event, because it does sound like it is going to be freaking really cool stuff. So get signed up for that. Check it out. And if you have more questions, contact them directly. So... all right. Make sure that you get on their Instagram at Seminar Stack, which is Seminar Stack, all one word on Instagram. And I hope to see you on August 2nd.
I'm here in the Harrisburg area. I have got into the academy March of 2015, graduated September of 2015, and so I just hit my 10-year mark here in March. And then 5 of those years I've spent actually on medical leave from an on-duty crash, which I'm sure we'll get into later, lead it into everything what we're doing now. But yeah, that's my thing. Bachelor's in criminal justice from Kutztown University.
From where?
Kutztown University.
Okay.
And then, went straight from the academy, knew I wanted to do law enforcement, and then worked at a college campus for a year as like campus security as I was applying to police departments, then got into the state police as my first department. I've been there since.
Okay.
Pretty linear so far. Yeah.
Pretty what?
Pretty linear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you from Pennsylvania originally?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Pennsylvania. I grew up in a town called Littlestown, which is just outside of Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
So my parents, I'm one of 4 boys. I'm number 3 of 4. And my parents have a big plot of land down there in Adams County. So they have 26 acres, rent out the farm fields for the local farmer to do their farming. So we had like corn and stuff. We didn't do any of the farming or have the animals. We just had the awesome land that we grew up with. So rural Pennsylvania for me.
Cool. You a Civil War buff by any means, or not really?
No.
Oh man, so
we got it so much being so close to Gettysburg that it wore off for us.
Yeah,
because everyone always asks like, "Oh, you look, Gettysburg is so cool." I was like, "Yeah, it is." But that's where I went. Like my week picnics with my mom was to Gettysburg Battlefield, like through the summers and stuff. It doesn't have the same thrill for me that it does for other people.
Oh man, yeah. So I remember going out there a couple of times. My mom's side is, I don't know if I told you this or not, but my mom's all from out east, my mom's side. So my uncle still lives in Lancaster. And I know that's a little bit further east than you are. But yeah, so like we used to go out there, like I used to go to the Pocono Mountains. My granddad had a place out there, so we would go out there and see them. And then and my granddad was a huge Civil War buff. So we went out to Gettysburg a few times. That was really a cool place for me.
It really is. It is cool. It is cool, and I don't want to undersell it because it is really cool. If you're into that stuff, it's just growing up there where like it loses its thrill.
Yeah.
But like the reenactors go so hard and so in depth, and it's a really cool experience if you're into any sort of history. Even if you're not, it's cool just to see the town and the historic sites and the battlefields and just learning what went down at that battle was crazy.
It's also just like very pretty countryside itself. There's a lot to appreciate in that space.
Yeah, the landscape of Pennsylvania is interesting because you got mountains and you got the farm fields, but the farm fields like out by you guys is like it's more like hilly and rolly versus Indiana and Ohio is like dead flat, super boring. So yeah, at least driving out east is like, and like Wisconsin's kind of like that too. I was driving out there last week And I was like, man, this looks a lot like Lancaster, just driving out that way. So it was interesting. But yeah, all right. So 10 years, Pennsylvania State Police. So let's get into what happened with the car wreck and how'd you spend so much time? Is it 5 of 10 years that you've been on?
5 of 10 years. I now officially have more time on medical leave than I actually do on the road.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, of course. So I was working the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, which was my favorite shift. Love that. Loved the overnight shift. Big DUI guy, got my DRE certification, SFFT instructor, that whole 9 yards. Loved the midnight shift. And about 6 a.m., we got a call for a crash on the bridge between what's called Enola and Harrisburg. It's a very heavily trafficked bridge at 6 a.m. And so it's right before rush hour. We call for a multi-vehicle crash with unknown injuries. So we get there, and I pull up with the police cruiser behind the truck that's crashed. So the front end is smashed into the median barrier, and then the back end is partially in the left lane. And it's a 3-lane highway on this bridge. And so we pull the cruiser up behind it, lights, everything's on. I'm riding with my partner because on our midnight shift, we ride with somebody. If you're not on midnight shift, you ride by yourself. So I was in the passenger seat, partner's driving. I had him stay in the car to get the fire police, the tow trucks, potentially ambulances, anything like that. Let PennDOT know that we're handling this crash scene right before rush hour. I walk up to the truck, make sure nobody's inside of it needing emergency assistance. It's completely empty. That dude fled. And so I walk back to my cruiser, get in the car, close the door, and look to my partner to ask him where he's at. And then somebody like ripped right past us and shook our car. I'm like, dude, we're going to get hit. And then boom, got hit like immediately after I said that. And so like that time frame of me getting to the car, closing the door, and the impact, once the door was shut, it was 5 seconds, that communication until I got hit. So I was unrestrained because my next move was to get out of the car to go to the trunk to pop flares to get people to move over.
Yeah.
And so when we got hit, the impact was 70 miles an hour, and I immediately blacked out, went unconscious. The next thing I remember is me out of the car, leaning against the median, just pouring blood from my head, and have no idea what happened, how I even got out of the car. And my partner walks over to me. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been better." I was still cracking the being a wise ass. And then I blacked out again and woke up in the ambulance with the doors open, and my corporal was standing at the foot of the ambulance, asked me like, "Hey, Eric, who should we call?" And they're cutting off my uniform and like wrapping my head up, and I was like able to rattle off my mom's cell phone number, their home phone number, and then Kate's cell phone number. And we were only dating for 6 months at the time. And went out again and woke up as they were taking me into the trauma bay. And I remember being in such shock that I couldn't get warm. Must have had like 30 blankets on me in that trauma bay. Just couldn't get warm. And then finally fully regained my consciousness when I was in the ER in my room as they were stitching up my head. And so the impact pushed me through the airbag, and I hit the dashboard so hard that it blew the whole right side of my scalp like off.
Oh man.
And so I had stitches from my eyebrow leaning across my forehead up to about the middle of my head, where they inserted a tube in there too to come down across my temple to help with drainage. My left orbital was completely fractured and swollen shut. I had cuts, lacerations like on my nose, on my eyelid. It tore my shoulder apart, had to get shoulder surgery. The trauma surgeon said that he stopped counting the stitches after 100 to my head. And the craziest part about it is like the big cut to the forehead that was most of the stitches. Like it wasn't a laceration like I got cut by glass. Like the impact to the dashboard was so hard that force blew my scalp open. And so then along with that level of impact comes the traumatic brain injury along with it, the super severe concussions. And that's been the prolonging issues.
Yeah.
Was the traumatic brain injury that's not going away. I've had a headache 24/7 since April of 2020. I've never fully not had a headache in 5 years. My eyes, I've been in physical therapy for 5 years, vision therapy for 2.5 to 3 years. I get a weekly massage, which sounds nice, but like my whiplash is so severe and so bad that like I've had a weekly massage for 3 years and it's still tight. So it's just been an ongoing process of recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine so. So the mechanism is of the brain injury is traumatic brain injury, right? Is there anything more specific than that? Or
Right now they're calling it post concussion syndrome because that's like the medical term for it, which is just a big envelope name for everything concussion that related. I think I was diagnosed as, but was also because in traumatic brain injury, like classifications, obviously I'm not a doctor. I only know this from like a brain health clinic that I went to for a month.
Yeah.
There's like classifications of traumatic brain injuries. There's like mild, moderate, and severe. And like to get to severe, like that person has to be unconscious for like 24 hours. And so like mine was technically considered classified as a moderate traumatic brain injury, but it feels pretty severe.
it sure doesn't sound moderate to me. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound moderate at all. Like a kid getting a solid concussion on the football field sounds like moderate to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is a moderate head injury, and like that sounds severe. What about the shoulder? What happened to your shoulder?
I had a torn labrum in my shoulder. So the range of motion. I remember I had to ask them like 3 times in the hospital, like, dude, can you like examine my shoulder? Like I can't lift my arm higher than this. And I was 28 at the time when the crash happened. So like I was fit, active, playing sports, lifting, all the whole 9 yards. And dude, like I had full range of motion in my shoulders. Like I can't lift my arm up. So, like something's wrong here. Can you take a look at it? And it was ended up being a labrum tear that through PT kind of fixed. And then when they went and do the surgery, there was a big bursitis that they had to draw out. And then that kind of through PT, like now I have my shoulders like completely fine, minus some minor nerve block stuff that
Mhm.
never fixed. But yeah, range of motion and strength and that is all good. So that's good. My orbital healed thankfully on its own without need for surgery. There was, but that's a big play in why my eyes aren't functioning properly right now. So
Is the orbital?
the orbital plus the head injury,
Yeah.
they kind of work in conjunction with each other to not allow my eyes to operate the same way. So like I've been in vision therapy, literally physical therapy for your eye muscles to get them to work the same way.
Yeah.
So like before, like I couldn't converge, and so now I can converge. But the next step after that is I can't focus properly. It's like things that blurry for no reason, and like reading will blur after a while.
The driving's a big thing. He doesn't drive anywhere more than maybe 15, 20 minutes because when you're driving and shifting your eyes and focus to things on the road, he'll focus and then it'll blur.
Yeah.
That's one of the bigger hangups, aside from obviously the headaches that he endures. The driving has been something that is holding him back and being able to get back to things like part-time work or back on the road because he has to be able to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that just navigating, focusing distance, focusing close, like that back and forth would be terrible.
So what they're working on with me in the vision therapy is that near to far focus. I
Yeah.
have a delay in that focus. So like I can get there, I can see the image, but then it takes me a couple seconds to bring it back into focus. And like you do that so rapidly when you're driving, like to not have that focus is really unsafe.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Particularly in police world when you're
Yeah.
driving at high rates of speed and have to pay attention to so many things in your computer and like walkie talkie, like all that divided attention that you need to do
Right.
as a police officer. I
Yeah.
struggle with that from the concussion side of things.
Hell, I struggle with it without it.
Yeah.
Does this is like maybe a workaround, but what about covering one eye? Does that alleviate any of the issues? Have you ever tried that?
Really, it doesn't.
Doesn't?
I had an astigmatism going into the crash, and now this has escalated it. So that really doesn't help because the one eye can focus really well, but the other one doesn't. So the other one will then overcompensate. So I have to learn have to train my eyes to focus together. Yeah. So I have tried that. We've done that in vision therapy. I do exercises where one eye is closed to check. But
So the only reason I ask is because when I was like in sixth grade, I had meningitis really bad. Like I was in the hospital for 10 days, and the pressure in my head was so severe that it was causing me to have blurred vision. Or double vision. So I was having blurred and double, and it was like I could cover one eye and it would be fine. And I remember they told my parents, they were like, he's probably gonna need an eye patch forever. And 15 days later, it was like the pressure went down and it went away. But it's just amazing the amount of sensitivity that just a little bit of pressure on your brain can have, let
yeah,
alone a traumatic brain injury. You know what I mean?
yeah, yep, exactly.
That's also pretty incredible that your shoulder, it was just a torn labrum. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
didn't have Like your head took all of the force.
All the force, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I always think about too now that I'm at a better state mentally to be able to discuss it and relive it and say it what happened, what I'm feeling. Like it's crazy the fact that I'm still here with the injuries that I have.
Yeah.
Like it was all a matter of seconds that saved my life essentially. Even to the fact when you close the door of the car, cars are crash tested to have the doors closed and locked. So like having the door closed keeps the structural integrity of the car. And like those car that I was in was the Ford Taurus Police Interceptor model, are tested for a 70-mile-an-hour rear impact with the doors closed. So if I didn't close that door, that probably would have crunched around me and the rear would have intruded into the passenger cabin. And who knows what other injuries I would have had. Been impaled by something or stuck in there longer that they couldn't get me out, would have had more blood loss. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then 3 to 5 seconds earlier, I would have been between the cruiser and the truck and would have been pinned because the impact pushed the cruiser that was parked 30 feet into
Holy
the rear
cow.
of the truck and then crunched the front end of the cruiser as well. So like I would have been pinned there. And 3 seconds later, I would have been at the trunk of the car getting the flares, and I probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, I
So
think
like,
that's a safe bet.
It's insane. And then again, like you said, like the fact that the only thing that really happened to me was my head. That's not a great place to only have your injuries. But like I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm functional. I'm not like paraplegic. I don't need a cane. I don't need a walker. Like I have full range of motion and pretty much everything except my neck. Like all that stuff is really good, but it's still not enough for the caliber of requirements that you need for law enforcement.
Yeah, and I would say another thing too, I'm just meeting you really now, but I don't hear anything with your speech. Like I'm assuming there's no issues like personality changes, stuff like that.
Oh,
You can take that one.
a little bit. He's definitely gets frustrated faster for sure. If you think about it in the sense that when you get a headache personally or you don't get a lot of sleep, you're just like quicker to anger, you get more frustrated. Those kinds of things happen much more regularly than it used to. Eric is the calm patient, level-headed, and now sometimes he'll just snap a little bit easier than he used to. And I'm sure it's a compilation of having that headache and some of the trauma that he just went through with the brain. But other than that, not so much.
Yeah, I like, again, blessed in that category where it didn't affect my cognition. It didn't affect my speech because like the brain clinic that I mentioned that I went to was was last March, and they did speech therapy and they did pathology therapy and art therapy and all these kind of things to like help. And like I tested completely fine on cognition. I didn't have any issues with speech. I didn't have all those other things that you think of with brain injuries. Like I go to see my doctor once every two months, and I walk in there and like all these other people that have these severe brain injuries are like they're not functioning. You know, they need the assistance. They have to go in with somebody. They have to have all those other things to make them work normally, and I don't, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's really good. I guess what I meant by personality changes is like that anger and frustration for a continuous chronic pain and injury is like totally understandable versus like the personality changes that I was referring to is like the drastic changes. Brady, the guy, the Secret Service agent that took the bullet for Reagan, like that changed his entire personality. Like he wasn't even the same dude. Would start crying for no reason and stuff like that. So yeah.
I don't think I had that. I still feel like I'm very similar and close to what I was before this trauma. It definitely brought forth more emotions than I've always been an emotional person as a whole. And I actually pride myself in that and being able to recognize my emotions and express them. But I definitely express them more now than I used to. And particularly in that first 1 to 2 years out of the hospital, that was really bad. We'd be out somewhere and we'd make mention of a crash, or I would see sirens and I would just melt and just be broken down and be done for the day.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to.
I wonder if that would be like a mechanical injury from the physical act of the head injury, or if that's like a trauma induced thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a nice mixture of both.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, a little cocktail injuries over here, injuries and trauma.
So what did you do further out from the injury? So talk about your training, and because it looks like you're still working out, like doing physical training, stuff like that. Fill me in on that. And then were you into jiu-jitsu before this? Did you get into it afterwards? And how did that change or progress?
Yeah, so with how active I was before the crash, it was really a struggle for me to not be active for that first year that I was off, if not 2 years
And
that I
for
was
two
off.
years, you didn't really do anything other than your physical therapy.
Yeah, I mean, like the physical therapy was intensive because it was 3 2-hour sessions every week. But it's not like physical therapy isn't lifting. It's not going for that run. It's not getting that pump. It's not hitting that workout itch. But as I was progressing through physical therapy, I got to the point where they wanted me to start doing things on my own. And then I took that and I ran with it way too fast, way too quickly. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm cleared to lift. And I'd go lift. And then I would just like be dizzy and massive headaches and stuff because it was escalating all that. And she had to rein me in. And then I started lifting again, and actually I'm getting a heart rate monitor because one of the things that was affecting my symptoms was when my heart rate would increase, so would my headache and my uneasy dizziness feeling and my blurred vision. And so we were then in PT trying to find that threshold of like, all right, you can exercise up to your heart rate of, we want you to do heart rate of 115 only max. And like in lifting and working out world, like that's a brisk walk. That's hardly anything. So it was a really big challenge for me to try and find that. And one of the things that led to being able to scale to hit that itch was jujitsu. So I'll let you take how we started that.
So he was struggling with not working out the way he wanted to. I was trying to find a solution. So I had always wanted to try jujitsu, and I saw that one of the local gyms has part of a program called Adopt a Cop BJJ. What they do is they pay for active duty law enforcement to train jujitsu for free. So I found a gym that did that, and they had a beginners program. So I was like, let's just go talk to them. Let's see what it's about. Eric doesn't qualify for that program because he's not active on medical leave, but we knew that gym would be law enforcement friendly. So around cops, around that mission, scaling the training based on those kinds of things. So we went and we talked to them and we're like, how intensive is this? Like with his current injuries, is jujitsu something that we can even consider? And we found that it's one of those things that you can put as much or as little into it as you want. Eric trains mostly just with me so that if he's getting dizzy or has issues, like we slow down, or I'm not pushing him or throwing his head around like some of the other guys at the gym might. I'm 5'2". He's substantially bigger than me. So like I'm not going to be the one that's giving him the hardest time. We were able to start and scale our training based on giving ourselves things that we can and can't do. We wear the heart rate monitors when we train together. If he gets too dizzy, he doesn't do live rolls in training. So we pretty much do drills. We'll do a little bit of rolling based on how his symptoms are and those kinds of things. But that's how we got into it. We got into it based on, okay, these are my restrictions that I have. Let's find something that kind of gets you back into the law enforcement world, that is training towards bettering your law enforcement career. And that's how we found jiu-jitsu together.
It's
Cool.
kind of it's magical in its own way where you can, lifting, you can always scale lifting with weights and resistance and all that kind of stuff. But we all know hitting that PR is the best feeling. And with jujitsu, like you can hit that PR just in a technique when you land it perfect. And so being able to only do the drills and maybe do a flow roll where you're just like slowly moving through movements and like that kind of stuff, and like, still got that euphoria feeling of, oh, I'm succeeding, I'm doing well, I'm bettering myself, as opposed to I'm going to go to the gym and lift 10 pounds and 100 times. And it just doesn't feel the same unless that's what you're going for.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all movement practice. And that's where even with lifting weights and kettlebell stuff and like you create these flows, but it's really just a practice of movement, whether it's like a bench press or whatever. And if you treat it like that, like from a longevity standpoint, it's way more beneficial anyway because hitting PRs and lifting max weights is always fun, especially in your early 20s, mid 20s. Yeah. But once you hit a certain point, it's like, dude, I'm never gonna squat this much ever again. I'm 43 years old. I can't go back in time and get that back. So what are you doing? Like when you're lifting heavy, like what are you doing? You have to be a lot more purposeful about it. And I really think that is what you guys are doing with this is you're making it purposeful. You're making it's aerobic, right? You're keeping it in a very low aerobic state. Like heart rate of 115, like that is like low aerobic. That's where we want to live with that. And that's going to create actually like a huge base, a huge volume of base for other things. So if you were a client, this is what I would tell you. Keep doing that. Keep focusing on that zone one, level one, like whatever you want to call it, like low aerobics of training state. and then whatever amount of like lower weight hypertrophy, like just keep the muscular structure intact and as much as you can. So into like further healing process. And as this stuff gets better, like you're going to maintain that and you're going to have a huge aerobic base. Like that is really good. Plus jiu-jitsu just keeps you mobile and rolling around on the ground anyway. And that's what I've been telling people a lot in the last several years that I've gotten more into it is the number one thing that you go into a nursing home for. This is expanded beyond like law enforcement specific, but the number one reason people go into assisted living is because they can't get up off the ground. So if you do jujitsu, like you'll probably be able to get up off the ground. That's a pretty good practice. Just getting down, rolling around, getting back up.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, based on your injuries and just healing in general, like that's a pretty good plan.
Yeah. And like when we've been able to find, and with the help of jujitsu, I'm able to work with a higher heart rate now before my symptoms elevate. And like we've been able to find what you're talking about, that longevity, like living in that, like, it allowed me to become more comfortable working out and living in that level 1, level 2 zone. And it's been so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really good for you mentally and physically. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, if more people could adopt a similar mindset, like it would help you grow from the big picture standpoint. Like it would help you grow more in jujitsu practice and honestly with strength work too. Then you lose that impatience, that like trying to force things, like because you can't like where you're at. If you try to force things, it's just going to take you backwards. You know what I mean? So you have to be super patient and super just like, all right, this is where I'm at. Like I'm going to take this day to day. You know what I mean? And that's hard to do. That is a difficult thing.
Still struggle with it.
Yeah.
Still bad with it. Like we went to class last week and like we average maybe 1 to 2 classes a week at this rate. And we went on Thursday last week and nothing crazy. We did some knee on belly sweeps and nothing too nutty, but like we went on Thursday, all of Friday, I was pretty much out of commission. Like my headache was elevated, everything was spiked. And that's also where I'm at with the recovery now is like, it's not a matter of, oh, can you do it? Yeah, I can do it, but it's how will this day affect the next one and the next one?
Yeah.
If I go and I work a 4-hour shift, what will that mean for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the work week? And
Yeah.
it's just, if I work 4 hours, does that mean that can I work 4 hours every single day? Or can I work 4 hours and then I'm going to be taking a sick day and then coming back again? And that's the balance that we're trying to find now. And we're using jujitsu and personal journaling and all that kind of stuff to have that better representation to give to the docs. But hey, listen, this is what I've been doing laid out. What do you think?
Yeah, that's really good to track that because this is something that I talk about too is you're never clear of a workout. This is under normal healthy conditions. You're never clear of a workout for 72 hours at least. So if I hammer a workout today and then I like have a tweaky elbow in 3 days, like I have to backtrack and think, what did I do for the last 3 days that could have pissed this thing off? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how it works, man. Like you have to go back and look and be like, yeah, it might have been that bench press 3 days ago. But sometimes people lose track of it. It's like, well, I was fine yesterday. Why does it hurt today? It's go back in time and look. And I think the older you get, the more you probably have to expand that out further.
Yeah.
But do you ever work on breath control and like nasal breathing while you're training? Do you ever add that into it?
We try to. We definitely forget.
We need to work on that for sure. You do in the sauna though.
Yeah, I do. We have a steam sauna in the basement. And so I hit that probably 3 to 5 days a week. And in there, that's where I do all of my PT neck stretches for my whiplash and my shoulder rotations. And then I'll sit there and I'll focus on my breathing there to help myself use that box breathing to bring my symptoms down and like those kind of things. So
yeah,
I'm better at it than she is.
That's true.
So one thing when I started getting into like heart rate monitors and that kind of thing and like different like aerobic zones, that kind of stuff is that your breath will be a restrictor for your heart rate. So if you want to keep it down, like the easiest thing to start with is just shut your mouth while you're training. And if you get to a point where you feel like you have to breathe out of your mouth, then you just back down whatever it is you're doing. And it's pretty easy to do on a rower, on a bike, even while you're walking or running. If you're running and you're just breathing out of your nose, because most people mouth breathe while they're running, and it's like you don't even think about it. But if you shut your mouth and just breathe through your nose, and you'll find right away like you want to breathe through your mouth. And rather than just like doing that, if you just slow down to the point where you can breathe through your nose again, it almost feels like you're like running so slow sometimes that it's like I may as well be walking. But what that's doing is keeping a restrictor on your intensity so that you stay in that aerobic zone. So that's a pretty good way to kind of match the breath with the heart rate. Because if you don't match your breathing with your heart rate, then and try to connect those dots, then it becomes like reliance on the device that may or may not be accurate all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's a good point. We'll start doing that.
Yeah, just a thought.
Add it to the list. Yeah.
All right. So how did you guys get into let's start with what is Seminar Stack?
Yeah. So Seminar Stack. So we started training jiu-jitsu. I mentioned the Adopt a Cop BJJ nonprofit. Through that, because of jiu-jitsu and how our journeys have went, we wanted to be able to donate to Adopt a Cop. And we realized very quickly that if we donate to Adopt a Cop, we can't really write them a substantial check. We don't have the means for something like that. So we're like, well, what if we threw a fundraiser to try and raise money for them instead of just writing a check? That's what we did. Last year was our first year. We found a community college gymnasium. We just started reaching out to people on Instagram, finding instructors to come and teach courses. And we did this fundraiser and we did pretty good. We raised about $8,700. We were able to donate. And like through that, with the people that we met and the outreach that we did, we got a lot of good feedback. And we're like, what if we made this like a thing and did this continuously? So at the end of last year, I made a business. The Seminar Stack was created in November. And the whole concept of it is to bring together resources that help first responders in training while also putting in a health and wellness focus with martial arts that we love. So the whole day is broken up to multiple different segments. There's a jiu-jitsu tournament, there's health and wellness seminars that are free and open to the public. There are ticketed seminars with amazing instructors that are coming in. Everything from police jiu-jitsu, there's a knife combatives, to sport jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi. We have speakers ranging from everything from how to be a good leader to mental awareness to social media. And all of these pieces come together for a full day event, and then it all benefits We Defy Foundation and Adopt a Cop. So the goal is to continue to do this, bring the resources available for first responders, and continue to grow in that space. But it all started from us wanting to be able to donate to this nonprofit that we cared about, and then taking everything that we personally like and making it into an expo.
Yeah, no, and you guys have put together a lineup where I was going through and I was like, oh, I need to see who's on the bill here. So I'm going through it and I'm like, oh, it's my buddy Chris from New York. So he's there, and then 3 or 4 other dudes that I was like, I'm gonna make sure I'm following all these guys. And I'm like, I already follow half of them, and I'm already watching their tutorials. And I was like, dude, this is a good lineup. I managed to connect with Kevin.
Donaldson.
Did a podcast with him a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's like you guys have put together. I don't want to leave anybody out, but do you have a list of
all the instructors?
Yeah, let's run through it.
Yeah, let's run through them.
Like you said, we have incredible instructors, and I'm really not sure how we managed to get them in our first year as a business, second year doing this. Their credentials are outstanding. Almost everybody has law enforcement history or active. The few that don't, military experience, or Dustin Page was one of the local bare knuckle fighters in the area, and he's not military, but he has MMA experience. Obviously, he's an active bare knuckle fighter. He's helping us.
He does trainings for law enforcement.
He does training. It's corrections, isn't it?
It's something like that.
Yeah,
but he's in that field.
So go through the list.
So like for the Martial Blade Concepts one, I think that's kicking off at 9 a.m. The 2 guys teaching that is Timmy Ball, Holy Roller, and Scott Hugues. They're from Vineland, New Jersey. And Martial Blade Concepts is an entire series on knife defense for civilians and for law enforcement. So it's like about how to recognize the normal knife attacks and how to defend them and use the body movements to create space so you can get your draw and keep yourself alive. So it's really cool. But Timmy Ball is active law enforcement in New Jersey. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then Scott is not law enforcement or military, but he's been training martial blades almost like his entire life. And he's up there in the ranks of the guys. And watching them do their knife flow is crazy. It looks fake because it's so good.
It's good.
So that one's really cool. And then we also have in the morning, we have a clinch fighting concepts, which is being taught by Bradley Barnes and Dustin Pegg. So Dustin Pegg is a local bare knuckle boxer out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where we are. And then he has a big fight actually the weekend before Seminar Stack. He has a main event fight in Philadelphia for bare knuckle. So he's, hey, I have this fight. He's like, so I hope you're not relying on me too much in case I get messed up. but I'm sure he's going to crush the guy. But yeah, so he's assisting Bradley Barnes, who owns Midland BJJ in Texas. And he's big in the company called Invictus LEO as one of their black belt instructors. I forget how many degrees he has, but
C4 PJJ instructor as well.
Yeah. And he's good. He's cornered for UFC fighters. He actively does law enforcement training throughout the country. So Bradley Barnes is awesome. And then
Kevin's the other 9 a.m. speaker.
Yeah, then we have Kevin Donaldson. He's from retired New Jersey law enforcement, and he's doing his speaking seminar on what's called post-traumatic success. So I'm sure you're aware, having just spoken with him, but he talks about how to use trauma and PTSD and turn it from something that will debilitate your life into something that you can grow from. And it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to that one. That seminar, post-traumatic success, is actually CLE approved, meaning that it's continued law enforcement education approved for the state of Pennsylvania. Yeah. So local law enforcement can go and get credits for their certification, which is cool. And then our next speaker is Justin Stewart. He runs the Guild Fellowship, which is another 501c3 nonprofit out of Illinois or Indiana. I forget. He's somewhere by you.
West.
He's somewhere by you. But he's active law enforcement. He's a detective sergeant and has done like narcotics work and stuff like that. And he's speaking on mission and purpose and how to find that in your life and use it for leadership, those kind of things. And then our 2 sport jiu-jitsu seminars, we've got Dylan Royce doing a competition guard passing one in the gi. And Dylan Royce is an active law enforcement officer out of the Philadelphia area and an active competitor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he's just got medals out the ass.
Up this year. He's impressive.
He's impressive. And so he does a lot of training with EFC, Effective Fitness Combatives. And then he is also going to be teaching with Invictus this summer out in Lake Tahoe as well. So he's pretty awesome. I'm excited for him. And then our no-gi seminar is being taught by Will Lauschine out of Atlas Wellness and MMA. I think it's the gym that he's at now. And that's in Virginia, like Virginia Beach area. He is not law enforcement, but he's an ex-Marine scout sniper.
Yeah.
So that dude he's a killer. He's also an active competitor as a black belt. Just got his second stripe on his black belt recently. So he's really cool. I'm really excited to have him. He's doing a no-gi section on leg entanglements and K-guard and turtle and all that good stuff.
And police jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
we have a police jiu-jitsu seminar being taught by the co-founder of Invictus LEO, Jason Resch, coming up from Austin, Texas, owner of Henzo Gracie Austin. And he's a multi-stripe black belt, got it from Henzo. And he
travels all around doing these trainings for law enforcement. He was law enforcement 18 years. I could be misspeaking on that. There for a while, over a decade, for certain. And then he's teaching with Jay Gawker.
Yeah, he's teaching with Justin Gawker, who's law enforcement outside of New York City. He's a detective or something like that.
C4C, PJJ instructor.
Level 5. Yeah, those 2 are just going to go around how to break down turtle for suspects. Suspect gets on their hands and knees and won't open it up. What do you do? And so they're going to go through that, which is really cool. And then we've got CJ Delaney, or Chris Delaney, your guy from New York. He's doing something on handcuffing, position, and control. And he is one of the most decorated instructors that we have. Like, his credentials we had to shorten it to fit on our website. It was just unreal. This guy is unreal.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Great.
You can't miss him because you'll hear him from a mile away.
Yeah. Right. Where's CJ from? Just say hello to him. You'll know.
You'll know.
You'll figure it out.
But the handcuffing, though, goes a little bit past just handcuffing. It goes into if somebody has a medical emergency, once you get them into the cuffs, what are you doing from there? So it's not just a basic handcuffing course, which I feel like is really important and beneficial and something that's not covered very much.
Or it's like someone's in the cuffs but they're still fighting. Mm-hmm. And their hands are behind their back, but there's certain moves that you can't do at that point. And most of us don't know really what they are, what's the best course, and he's going to go through that. So that's a really cool one. And then our last ticketed speaker is actually Rob Ingren from McDojo Life. He's coming up to do a whole segment on social media mastery and how to use social media to build your brand, to sell your businesses, to make money, and just to go through all of that because he's very good at it.
And he's been in the martial arts space for decades. If we had an extra spot on a mat, he'd be on a mat. He's judo black
I
belt,
don't know. All of
jiu-jitsu
his
black.
things
He's
are
got a bunch of black belts and a bunch
a
of
bunch of different
things.
things. Yeah.
Very talented, wealth of knowledge.
Like his lowest belt is he's a high purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and that's only because he started that recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's our lineup for our ticket instructors, and it's just insane, absolutely stacked. You know,
Yeah.
that's
And I'm sure there are things that we're not mentioning. So if and when any of the guys listen to this, please.
yeah. If you want more information on any of those instructors, we have all of their bios and credentials and everything listed on our website. So check that out and check them out. Follow them, give them all the props, take their training wherever you can because they're top tier instructors.
Yeah, it is like the Ozfest of like police related jiu-jitsu combatives instructors. Like I'm telling you, I went through that and I was like, holy shit, this is impressive.
Yeah, it's just we just nagged people on Instagram. They're just like, all right, I'll go.
That's what I do for podcasts. And they're like, yeah, fine. I'll do a podcast with you. Just leave me alone.
They're great humans, every single one of them. Just amazing people, amazing at what they do, at what they teach, and just good human beings, all of them. So we're really fortunate to have them.
Yeah, and we didn't even touch on we have an entire that was all the stuff that we have tickets for that you have to pay for, and it's still cheap. Like it's $50 for a 2-hour seminar with these high level guys. But we have an entire series it's a free wellness series that are completely 100% free for anyone to come and take. You have to register only because you have to sign a waiver. That's it. But like we have one there. We have a nutrition seminar being taught by Brock Wallach with Next Generation Personal Training. He's a top tier trainer in our area, one of the best in our region.
Mm-hmm.
Super knowledgeable, is constantly seeking additional training. I don't even know all of his
certifications. He's got a bunch.
Fitness certifications. He's up there. He's everything high in N1 education. He's done NASM. He's done who knows what else. I don't even know what all of them are, but he's done pretty much all of them. So he's doing one on nutrition, like what calories are, how to use it, and how to meal plan, all that kind of stuff. And then he's doing one on mobility. So not flexibility, mobility. So like about the joints and joint health and joint mobility and how to strengthen your joints, all that kind of stuff. So that's a cool one. And then we have
a free self-defense course that's taught by the coaches at our current jiu-jitsu gym, Scott Cook and Cameron Mitchell. Cam just got his 3rd degree on his black belt. They're amazing instructors. They're great humans. It's a free self-defense course just to come and take. We're encouraging a lot of like healthcare workers to come and try and take that because I know that there's a lot of violence in that field. And this is a nice, easy step in the door to learning a little bit about self-defense, maybe bridge them into some jiu-jitsu, but also taught by just amazing instructors with credentials that are outrageous.
And we have a breathwork seminar being taught by a couple 100-hour yoga certified instructor. And so Chelsea Parcel, she's doing that one about how to control your breathing, use your breathing for your advantage. Like what you mentioned about like nasal breathing, like that kind of stuff. She's going to do a whole
as well.
Yeah. And then not our last one, we have a blind yoga seminar being taught by this girl named Jennifer Robinstein. And that's going to be really cool. So she's visually impaired herself. And so she uses that for her advantage in teaching you how to feel your body instead of just seeing with your body. And so everyone who comes in can either close their eyes or will be provided a blindfold, and they do the entire yoga class blindfolded. So you can really feel like each part of your body as you're stretching and moving and getting these holds and stuff. So that's really cool. It's a really cool concept.
And then Stop the Bleed course.
Yeah, our last completely free seminar is Stop the Bleed. The tourniquet application, gunshot wounds, packing the gauze into the gunshot, like all that kind of stuff that first responders get on the regular, but normal people and normal citizens generally don't. And so we're able to offer that for free for them to come in and take. So that's
my local tactical company called 19 Tactical. So they're providing everybody to do that for, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
Honestly,
yeah.
Yeah, that's something I used to do a little bit of like site assessment for like active shooter type stuff for businesses. And we would always talk about, okay, do you have any tourniquets around? There's fire alarms and fire extinguishers everywhere. But what if somebody gets cut? What if somebody just gets a piece of glass falls on them and cuts them down the leg? Like they're going to bleed out potentially. So if you don't have tourniquet station places and have people that understand how to use them, that's a very low barrier thing that can save lives.
Yeah. And then finally, we have a full all ages jiu-jitsu tournament running the whole day long during this thing. There's cash brackets, there's first responder only brackets, which is cool. And then we're starting the whole day off with, it's called the Stack the Weight Ruck event. It's a team-based ruck. events. There's rucking, but there's also sandbag drills and things like that. And that's just being run by just 2 retired Navy SEALs that just popping in for kids. Yeah, so they can just yell at everybody. Mitch Aguilar, who's actually the owner of Adopt-A-Cop, BJJ, and Massive Supplements, is going to be heading that up, as well as Alex Rogers, who also just got out of being a SEAL. So they're both going to be up there.
It's LFW Clothing.
Correct,
so
yeah.
His own clothing raft guard company. So they're going to team up together, 2 ex-Navy SEAls, to push you around the garage roof and 7 o'clock in the morning.
That'd be awesome.
Sweat on. So
that would be awesome. Yeah, and then that portion benefits the We Defy Foundation, which pays for jiu-jitsu training for combat veterans. A full pack day, just all kinds of stuff. You can find any area that interests you. If you want to compete, if you want to learn, if you're just into health and wellness, there's something there for everybody.
Yeah, there really is. And I like that, like, the last name you said was Mitch Aguilar. Like, that dude is a monster. Like, these just, oh yeah, and by the way, this guy.
Just gonna throw him in there just for kicks. Yeah.
Also a decorated black belt and MMA fighter. So like after he's done on the ruck, he's probably gonna come down. He'll probably be on the mat.
And like you just watch that dude snap dudes through the floor. Just oh god.
Yeah. He's nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, it legitimately sounds like the Arnold Classic, like with as many people as you just laid out. And for this being the second year, dude, my hat's off to you guys. Like, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
We also have vendor row too. We have close to 30 vendors that are going to be there singing their merch. Anything from physical therapy to get a massage to always be choking, staying there to sell rash guards and gis. We've got realtors that are going to be there. A couple of our local gyms, a Revive mobile IV stand will be there, submission snacks, like we've got everything.
Yeah. And then we have $5,200 of giveaways that we're doing throughout the whole day. Anybody who buys a ticket to any part of Seminar Sec gets 1 free ticket to go to our giveaway tables. You can buy extra tickets if you want. All the proceeds go to those nonprofits. So it really is just a full day of nonsense. And then you're in a casino. Go lose at the tournament and then go down to the casino.
Yeah.
Go win a cash bracket, blow it at the casino.
I didn't even realize there's a full competition that day. I had no idea. That's super cool. I'm gonna start telling dudes at my gym like to get signed up because I'm trying to think how far of a drive it is. But I know these psychos would go for anything, so like I'm just gonna I'm just gonna sign them up.
All ages, gi no gi. The kids are gonna be in the morning, and adults are gonna be more towards the afternoon. And then any of your first responder guys, there's first responder only brackets
that right now has a minimum pot of $500.
Yeah.
And that will increase the more people register. So Josh Saunders, actually, we were able to get connected with him, and he reached out to us and is donating $500 for that first responder cash bracket. Mm-hmm. So if there's 2 people, they're fighting for $500. Like,
that's awesome. He's also donating a bunch of rash guards and kit to division champs too, which was really generous and amazing of him. So yeah, we get it all.
It's awesome. We're super excited for it. Yeah. August 2nd.
August 2nd.
Hollywood Casino, Grantville, Pennsylvania. Hershey. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. That is so cool. I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. What else do you guys want to talk about? What else do you guys want to go over? Anything, that was the big push. That was all the bulk of the stuff that I really wanted to like learn more about and touch on the seminar and all that kind of stuff. But what else you got?
No, not much. We're just trying to create a cool event and to be the ultimate fusion of, I think what we say on the website is ultimate fusion of jiu-jitsu, fitness, and wellness. Yeah. Health, fitness, and wellness. That's what we're trying to do.
Lean towards first responders.
The big push for first responder and first responder education and resources, and even just being we are not the trainers, right? No. We're not the instructors.
We're white belts.
We are white belts.
Surrounding ourselves with amazing instructors. Like, I can't wait to set up mats on the Friday before and then be like, hey, you guys want to roll? Like, really, this is for us. Get to position ourselves to roll with these amazing instructors.
Hey, dude, that is a great way to do it. I did that so many times when I had my CrossFit gym. I'd be like, oh, hey, I can get Chad Vaughn up here before Chad Vaughn was like doing big time seminars with CrossFit and stuff. I had his first seminar at my gym in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You know what I mean? So it is a great way to do that. So keep doing it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and we want to just become a resource. A lot of police officers, a lot of first responders, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, corrections even, they don't know that these training companies exist and that there is training for them. They only know what their department or agency provides, which we all know is the bare minimum. And we, at this point in time, with the way that law enforcement is going, we need more. And the more exists, you just don't know about it. So we want to be that event where you can be like, oh man, I'm going to go try this teaching, and if you don't vibe with that teaching, oh, you can take the next one that's right there that's doing a very similar thing, but just teaching it a little bit differently. And it might just you might just click with that instructor more, and you're like, oh, that was it, I'm going to start taking their classes, but you didn't vibe with this one. Like, that's real, that's how people learn.
Or scheduling even. Invictus is having a huge event out in Lake Tahoe. Like, maybe that doesn't work with your schedule. C4 PJJ is having another one somewhere closer to you at a different date. All of these guys are all over the nation all the time.
ESC is having one here, and OSS is up in Connecticut, and like I know there's other ones that we're missing, because like that's one thing that we're learning, is like we're also still finding these resources, and we're in that now, and that's what's crazy. It's like we just keep finding these other companies and police jiu-jitsu clubs and things that are popping up all over the place, and the resources are there. You just gotta find them. Yeah. And we want to be the one way you can find them.
Yeah, and you're making it cool. That's a big thing that I think, as far as police departments themselves, they give you the bare minimum, but that's really all they should give you, because they don't know how to market it and make it cool. Like they can make you do it and just be like, you will do this because this is your job, and that's not going to breed people in continuing on their own. It won't do it. That will never happen. If you just force, like, it's like forcing your kid to play a sport you want him to do. Like, your kid is going to play that until he's in 4th grade, and he's going to hate you, and he's going to quit. So that's not the way to do it. Like, how can you make it cool? How can you make it exciting? Like, you are doing that. And that just, like, I was on the fence about going, and now I'm like, okay, if I can convince my wife that it's time to go, like, I'm going. So, like, that is a very critical piece to this. And you're knocking that one out of the park. Just your enthusiasm, your intensity, the people you're either forcing into your circles, or like you're doing it. And this is like such an important piece.
Yep. Yeah. And we're trying to make it affordable.
Yeah.
Like we're keeping every seminar at $50. The purpose behind that and the mindset behind that is because of how the Adopt a Cop program runs. Is like they give officers $50 for their training, because the gyms that they train at agree to charge them $50. That's how they train for free. So essentially, every seminar that you pay for, you are sponsoring one officer's month of training.
Oh, that's awesome.
$50 for $50. That's the message we're trying to push. And we're also trying to keep it at $50, because $50 for a 2-hour seminar with these high tier and expert instructors is not a bad price.
No, 2 hours for $50. That's a good price for a one-on-one with just some Joe Schmo, like, purple belt getting a one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like,
it also allows people to, if we were to charge $200 for the entire day for everything, that's still a great value, but not everybody has a $200 they can spend. But they might have $50 that they can swing, and then they can go around and see all the other things, take some free wellness series seminars, take their one paid seminar. Like, they can make a day out of it, really, without
$50
going broke for $50.
It also too, it allows them. So the way that we run is it's create your own schedule, because it's $50 per seminar. So if we were to do 200 for the whole day, but you could only make one seminar, is it really worth 200 for that one? Too bad. If you can do the whole day for 150, and you get to pick which ones you want to take, and you can only do it for 50. If you can only make, let's say you work at 3 p.m., but you want to take the 9 a.m. seminar, you can just sign up for the one 9 to 11 and then go home and go to work. So I guess we're trying to make it as accessible for people as possible.
Yeah. Where can people find you on social media?
So you can find us on Instagram. We are at Seminar Stack on everything, Instagram and Facebook. Website is seminarstack.com. All of our seminars, everything for purchase and registration is on there. That's it. Yeah. Everything is Seminar Stack.
Sweet. All right.
Easy to find.